And we're live. Wow, messed that up.
Oh, somehow our intro video got messed up again. So
yeah, it's the guy running the mouse. That's messed up.
This is just what happens here. This is what happens here to this show. But welcome back to the Splitting Hairs podcast, presented by Jack Rabbit Illustrated. And it is a victory Sunday here, and it's going to be a victory Sunday every Sunday now until we lose, right? So until the season starts. But thank you for being with us tonight. Matt and Chad with you right now. We hope to be joined by Dallas as well as Coach Stiegelmeier here in the near future. But with that, we have to thank our sponsors who have been with us all season here, and need to thank Drake's Place in Bowdle, South Dakota. Drake's has been with us since the start, and we would encourage you when you get out to Bowdle to stop in, get some food, get some gas, get something to drink. Their SDSU themed menu is a hit amongst those who stop in, and Brendan swears it's the best pizza in South Dakota.
Dude, it's really good. He's not overselling it.
Okay.
I brought it all the way home uncooked and cooked it, and it was chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Awesome. Good. That's awesome. Next, need to thank Cottonwood Coffee of Brookings and Jacob and his team there. As you know, I love the breakfast there. The coffee is delicious. You can pick the coffee up online at cottonwoodcoffee.com or at Walmart if you live in Minnesota. But I'd encourage you to stop in as well. Our friend Sam Herder stopped in when he was in Brookings covering NDSU and SDSU and picked up a nice looking sandwich and a drink. So it's good stuff there.
He thanked us for how good it was. He was like, hey, pro tip. That's a good place to go.
Yes, it is. So it's something different. And then we also do need to just thank all of you who contributed to the tailgate down in Frisco, the businesses as well as the individuals. We ended up having 87, I think is the number, 87 individuals who contributed. So again, I just want to give them another shout out for helping sponsor this tailgate. We did not know how it was going to go, so we are very grateful for them for giving a chance on us. And let me just get in here really quick. So
hey, Matt, we have Dakota while you're getting in there. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, we have Dakota Iron. We have Hulsworth Farms. We have Cottonwood Coffee. Mike Schaefer's College Football Prospects. DeBoer Construction, Jacobs Construction, Finesse and Grind Clothing and Apparel, Blue Tide Car Wash, Drake's Place, Ernst Capital Group, Bloomin' Raider Farms, Mensch Greenhouse, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, Forrester Distributing, Josiah's Coffee and Cafe, Boyce Law Firm, and President Barry Dunn. So thank you for all of those that helped us put on that tailgate. It was a heck of a time. And I really do appreciate that you helped us make it happen. So thank you.
Yeah, wasn't that fun? That's what I was going to say. It was amazing fun. Dallas?
It was amazing fun. Hey, Dallas.
Are we talking about that now? I'm late to the party here.
Yeah, let's talk about
the tailgate. Let's talk
My goodness, what an amazing experience. That was the best time I've ever had tailgating. Right?
Yeah. It was fantastic. Matt just stepped off to do a little work. Sorry.
I mean, the number of, I'm talking to you.
Okay.
the number of people that showed up and the excitement and the energy level, nothing got terribly out of hand in a bad way. Like it was just, I mean, the weather even cooperated perfectly. Like that was, again, I don't even know what to say. That was the most fun I've ever had at a tailgate. And it was really rewarding to see how well that came together. You know, how hard everybody worked on that, everything Ben put into it and everybody else and the stress. And it just, it was a bit serendipitous. It all came together and I'd like to think we played a part in the day.
Ben did an amazing job with it. Hats off to him. He did most of the work. People don't know how much hand wringing some of us were doing in the background, worrying about it, What was that?
That was, Matt was worried. I think everybody took turns being concerned about amount of food, amount of beer. Are we gonna have 10,000 people? Are we gonna have 50 people? Like what's gonna happen? And, perfect.
And so hold on. This is a story worth telling here. So we get a text from our friend Mike Schaefer here that says, hey, this is great. We have 506 parents coming to the tailgate. But don't worry, they're not all going to eat. They're not all going to eat. So I take a screenshot of that and send it to these guys. And everyone says, oh, that's no big deal. We're fine. We're fine. 3 days later, Chad, I just heard that the parents are going to have 500 people at our tailgate.
and they showed up and showed out, and I honestly, the parents were the most fun of anybody there.
Yeah.
I hadn't really had much of a chance to get to know a lot of these guys. There were some past kind of generations hanging out with the parents, and they all knew what was going to happen, I think. And just, I don't know, just the level of excitement and enthusiasm and confidence coming out of them. Like, I don't know, as a parent, like I could feel the pride from them, and it was so cool. It just kind of spread.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you guys. How many people do you think there was? Like what's completely wild guess or guesstimate or educated guess? I'm just curious.
It's tough to tell because the JFPA, I mean, everything bled together between the three major tailgates we had there, right?
Yeah. Coach is on.
Oh, there he is.
I put the
Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Coach.
Hold on. Now you're muted.
I'll unmute you.
You got it, Chad?
You got to. Nope, he's got to unmute himself. Apparently, your mic's not working.
Okay.
So.
Yep. There you go, Coach.
There you are.
Now.
Oh, what the heck?
Technically, working through audio difficulties here with Coach Stig.
Yep.
You might have to hop back off and hop back on and make sure that your mic's working. Otherwise, there's a settings thing.
He's just on his phone. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. A nice Christmas tree, Coach. What do we got? Okay, so you unmuted it. Try it again. Wonder if he's connected to Bluetooth or something somewhere.
Potentially. Yeah.
Could be.
All right.
Well, Coach, you go ahead and talk whenever you're ready to test it again. We can keep rolling on talking about the tailgate here just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just back to the numbers. I mean, I'd put the over-under at a couple thousand that were anchored around us, right?
Coach, was that you?
Was that
you? Nope, that would be my watch. Sorry, he tends to listen to me talk. So,
yeah, I'd say a couple grand for sure at the overall tailgate. I'd say we must have had, maybe close to 3,000 people. We had all those all those porta potties there, and the lines were ridiculously long. Which we got with our vendors. We got it lined up to make sure those porta potties were there, and so that was nice. And it was all one giant party, and that was really the vibe we were going for.
It was. And I walked around the other side a little bit. I liked the energy and the vibe on our side more than the other. I still think we had way more people there. Now, like I had called out, if we want to talk about the game, I had said I thought we were 70-30 blue. I really did. And I know a couple guys disagreed, and then on the broadcast they said it was 50-50. And I forget who somebody said that. Or no, that was even
I said 50-50 from my vantage point in the end zone.
I don't even think it was close.
I was in the end zone. I don't know which. Were you down by the? You weren't down by the Fans Nations guys, were you?
No, I was just two sections over. I was
in that for 2 quarters, and if you looked, like the center section was NDSU fans on their side, but then like the last section of each side of that had at least 50-50. Okay, Stig's back.
All right, let's try it here.
We got you, Coach.
Coach, can you hear us?
Am I on?
Yes.
There we go. We hear you.
All right.
Hey,
welcome, Coach.
Hey, our oldest daughter just texted me and said, "Turn this off." So I turned it off. It works.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
We were just discussing the ratio of Jackrabbit fans to NDSU fans, and I was trying to tell these guys that our side was pretty much completely blue. The end zone was mostly blue. And then like one section on each side of the NDSU seemed more blue than yellow. And I don't know if you really took that in. You're a little busy, but
I've claimed that there are more Jackrabbits than North Dakota State fans, but everybody kind of downplays it. So I'm going to just play neutral for that. Okay.
Hey, there we go.
I will not play neutral. I thought it was at
I'm
least
not either.
60-40 blue. I was so impressed with that.
And the first time, Coach, you were in, we were talking about the tailgating experience, and Lori did stop by for a bit and tailgated with us. So
No way, did she
we-
really?
Yeah, we got
I
to
didn't see
thank
her. Oh, I
Mrs.
missed
Stiegelmeier
her.
for
No.
coming. Yep. So, yep. Kyle gave her a hug. So,
Aw.
so Coach, it's been a week. How do you feel?
Blessed. I
Blessed.
feel like it's part of the journey. Been really super. I'm gonna get emotional, but it's been super.
Awesome.
I tell you what, I can't even imagine your emotions because the number of silly little things that have set me off. I've teared up maybe 20 times in the last week. It just a text, a tweet, a video, a comment from a former teammate. Just there's been so many things that I've been stingy eyed this entire week, and eventually I'm sure it's going to settle down. My question, I'm curious here actually, have you caught up on sleep yet? Because I texted you after the game, like I'm sure 10,000 other people did, and you responded at I think 3:30 a.m.
You know, people. I got to respond to that. Hopefully, the world watches this. But I had a flight from Dallas to Charlotte for the AFCA convention at 5 a.m. So I had to be there at 3. So everybody thinks I'm out partying all night.
I think we know better, perhaps.
I'm going to go on record and say that it was a special time to be able to connect with people. But Dallas, you talk about the emotions, the number of texts I've gotten of guys and gals and alums that have talked about fourth quarter after the game on the field, the emotions. It's
Yeah, I believe it. I can't imagine. And I thank you. I snuck up and got a hug from you after your interview, and I appreciate that. That kind of capped everything off for me for the day. My favorite, I don't know if you would have seen it, but there's a video that was posted by the Pride from the stage after the game that showed it was the Pride jumping, and then it turned and it showed the entire field in blue shirts chanting, and it still to this day gives me absolute goosebumps even thinking about it. Did you happen to see that?
If I see something, it's by accident in social media.
Okay.
So
well, but anyway, if anybody
It's our
has it,
background,
that'll show you.
Dallas.
What's that?
It's our
Oh,
background.
that's the background right there. Yeah. So if anybody wants to see what Stig and those players saw, make sure you check that one out. Video by the Pride. It was, I don't know, it summed everything up so well.
Yep. Hey, Coach, I have to take care of a bet here really quick, and as a man of my word, I got to do this. So Dustin Helton is a friend of is a fan of Stephen F. Austin and runs a podcast for them. And he also appeared in our highlight video that Michael Hausman puts together earlier in the season. They had a guest on their show that was saying we weren't very good. The Jacks weren't very good, and that made Michael's hype video. So Rev, this is his nickname, Dustin Helton, Rev, has been a fan of the Jacks since the spring season, and he claims to be the Jackrabbits' favorite podcaster that's out there, the Jackrabbit football team's favorite podcaster. And he wore a rabbit Halloween suit that he bought from Dallas's company into the stadium and at tailgating the whole day. And I said if he did that, I would say on record that he is the Jackrabbits' favorite podcaster. So Rev, Dustin Helton, I'm paying up my end of the bet. So here it is with Coach Stig.
What a great fan to run around and be embarrassed with the Jackrabbit outfit. So I like it.
Well, some of us dress up stupid for every game.
Yeah.
I think you've met me with my giant cowboy hat on once.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I've got a question that is more lighthearted a little bit here. Who'd you fire after the game?
Fired?
It looked like you fired someone on the sidelines. Was it Jonathan Schaefer?
Schaefer setting me up. When they take your headphones off and the game is still going, something's goofy going on. And I told Schaefer he's fired, but I love the guy. He's got a lifetime contract for us. I should have fired Tucker Kraft because he's gone anyway.
Yeah, it was him and Zach, I think, that got you.
Yep.
And a follow-up question to that is, what flavor was the Powerade? I saw you sucking it out of your coat there.
Yeah, it's blue. There should be a book written. If you're going to dump something on a coach, use water so he doesn't stick for the next 5 hours.
That's good.
Henry says, hi, EPA.
Yeah.
Henry is one of our grandkids. He's the guy. If you watch the press conference, he unsolicited. He said, "Go Jackrabbits." I'm going to get emotional again, but this has been such a fun ride for me, my wife Lori, but also our kids because it's their life. So every weekend's been a family get together, a family reunion, and it culminated in Frisco, Texas, with everybody being there.
What I actually was going to ask you that because I was imagining if you were ever to interview me, the first question you would ask me if I was being a great dad.
And he froze.
So I was going to ask you if you're being an awesome grandpa this week and how that's been going.
If I'm around him, hopefully I'm a great grandpa or a good grandpa. If I'm not around him, I have no idea how social media works, so I don't know how to do that. So we have 4. Lori and I have 4. Oliver, Theodore, Elsie, and Henry. And ideally, they have really special feelings about us and their experience with at Jackrabbit football.
It's got to be because the family experience that comes out of I think everybody involved in this. My whole family talks about all this in terms of we. So I have to imagine just the passion and the energy and the excitement and the pride that would come out of anybody, any relative of yours in all this. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to get emotional for a second just about because, again, it's been such an amazing thing, everybody coming together. I wanted to ask, or maybe hear you talk about I missed the JFPA joining that walkthrough because I was at a hockey tournament with my son and came down late. But can you speak to that a little bit and just the effort that I presume you've put into making sure that former players are recognized because I can feel it, and I want to make sure that you know how impactful and how important that is. It's an amazing feeling to all of us to feel recognized by you and by the team.
Well, Dallas, you're talking about family, right? You're talking about initially we talked about our grandkids, which is family, and now you're talking about our football family. It all connects. And JFPA was at the practice. I didn't do a good enough job of the job I wanted to because I had to address the team and then run to the tailgate or the booster deal, whatever it was. But it was unbelievable. There was Bob Brzee was there who played in the late 40s, early 50s. I should have given him a hug. I lost that in the whole thing. In fact, I'm trying to get his contact information, but. I've said all along, memories are made with people, and whether it's a football family or your immediate family, you can be in a hockey rink and win a state championship, but it doesn't matter unless you hug the people you're around. You can be at Frisco, Texas, and win a national championship, but the power of it is found and comes from being around the people you love. And so JFPA, which you're referencing, Dallas, unbelievable impact on SDSU football and the fact that they're there and celebrated with us before the game. That was really cool.
Yep. And for those who are listening that may not be familiar, JFPA stands for Jackrabbit Former Players Association. I know there's some folks on the Facebook, the Jackrabbit Fans Nation Facebook group that have been a little unfamiliar with that acronym, but that's what it is, the former players. And that's the group that helped purchase or did purchase the white helmets that have been that are undefeated at this point. So kind of cool there. Coach, I got a question.
Yeah, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
White helmets or blue helmets? What do you like?
Ooh, this is going to be controversial, Coach. I would like us to move to a spot where the white helmets are only brought out on special occasions. I love the blue helmets. I love the waffle SD.
Yep. I would go about at least a 70-30 blue. And to expand on that, was I talking to Fritzy? What? No. I got to go back and look and see who I was talking to. But the other thing was national championship to me feels like a yellow pants scenario. It's ingrained in me to believe that special day equals yellow pants. So I was very surprised not to see yellow pants at the game.
Well, I said to our equipment guy, he said white helmet, blue jersey, white pants. I said, you really want to take care of those grass stains? He said, it's the national championship, Coach. I'll do whatever it takes. So,
got all off season to work on those.
But Coach, I love the either way. I love the SD, right? Mm-hmm. However, I tried to get the SD on the white helmets, and it took forever for me to just give in and say it's the rabbit. So I'm with you guys.
Yep. Coach, I don't know if he's gotten the recognition this year he probably deserves, but I think Aaron Crowell, right, your equipment guy, has been awesome and phenomenal. So I don't know what he's like to work with behind the scenes and stuff, but man, just the team looked good every week. They looked good.
He is he's a young guy that is a servant, loves to please. He's willing to do whatever it takes. I would agree with you. There's so many people behind the scenes that deserve more recognition than they got, but Aaron's one of those guys. But I would high five him. It's really cool. He's on his way to see his family in Missouri. It's such a weird deal as a head coach. You guys come in and say, "Hey, Coach, can I go to Greece with my family because it's a graduation present?" As if I should be able to decide who gets. And Aaron came in and said, "Hey, can I go to this week? Go see my family." I said, "Yeah, you can go, Aaron." So yeah, unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So, Coach, I had put out on Twitter and asked questions that people wanted me to ask you because I just wanted to make sure I did it justice. A couple great ones. One that I wanted to make sure I called out: Taylor Murray and also Travis Aarons want to know, one, are you still doing Rice Krispie bars after a win? And is there something different after winning a national championship, or how does that work right now?
Rice Krispie bars are standard. So yes, after a win, we have Rice Krispie bars. It's kind of interesting, though. I think our guys are either, I don't know what it is, either spoiled, because my wife has made, normally she makes about 11 dozen. Now when she makes 11 dozen, about half of them, a third of them are left. So
blasphemy.
She's kind of tailored that down. But yeah, that's the tradition. You guys know me. Things will never change as long as I'm the head coach. So
yes.
Good. We received questions from everyone under the sun, and Zach Lujan submitted one question. And I think this is because of your popular answer in the press conference when you commented that you're drippy, right? So Zach wants to know, what does GATA mean that all these players always write? Gata. Yeah.
I was introduced to that at Northern State when I was a coach, and my greatest mentor in terms of just being a coach, Jim Kretschmann, who's an unbelievable person, unbelievable mentor, said, I was leaving, and he said, Gata. And that means get after there, you can do it in. Lujan knows that. He's just setting me up to.
That's why I was laughing when Matt asked.
I never would have guessed your answer would have gone back to Northern. My goodness.
Yeah, I didn't know you went back to Northern either. Oh, that's cool.
See, we all learned something today. That's
cool.
awesome.
I heard there's a new one that's called ACV, but I don't know. That's maybe just a O-line thing. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Always
That's a new
choose
one for me.
violence. Like that's what I was being told by people.
Oh, I love that
I
out of
don't
an
know if
O-lineman.
that's true.
That's great.
Let's try to keep it PG, okay, man?
Okay.
Oh yeah, no,
okay.
100%.
Yeah.
We're the it's the other guys that are the non-PG. We're PG here for sure.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We always have been.
I have one question about
Blame
the
your
game.
offensive coordinator there.
Yeah, that was Zach's fault. Sorry.
Yep.
All right. From the stands, I kind of thought when NDSU kind of went into the bag and with trick plays so early in the game that it maybe looked kind of desperate to me. What did you think when they started pulling trick plays out so early in that game? What was your thoughts as a coach?
I've been wired and groomed and to not question coaches. I'm a coach. And we've won by 50 points, and I still get questioned in Walmart why we didn't do something. So I think that the one thing that I wondered about when they were down by 18, they scored a touchdown, they went for one, and to leave it at 17, which is 3 scores, right?
Yep.
I thought that's unique. That's. And again, I love Matt Ants. I think he's a great coach. I think he's had great success. But I thought, why would you do that? Why would you not try to get it to a 2-score potential? And that's again, my first name is Coach, right? And so I try to support all those guys.
That's funny. I had that as a question if the card says to go for 2 in that scenario, and I figured it does, and I figured you have the card memorized even though you have the card.
The card does say go for 2, yes. I take a lot of heat for that card, by the way, as if I'm supposed to think about that during the game. And I'm thinking, why would I think about it when it's already mathematically figured out? So the card's pretty important to me.
I love the card. It's part of you, yeah.
Yeah, people in math and probability and statistics, it's kind of something that's lost. I mean, we have these giant things called casinos, and if you've taken math courses, you would know that doesn't make any sense.
It's funny you said it that way because I actually had one of the questions they submitted to you, knowing you're a math guy, is what is your favorite mathematical equation? So we'll just assume it's when to go for 2 versus when to go for 1.
My favorite math equation is something our grandkids want to try to solve, and I get to help them with it, whatever that is, whatever it be. And on that note, we talked about our grandkids, Lori's and my grandkids. Those 4 little buggers are twice as smart as I am already. So I can't wait for the math problems I'll get to help them with down the road.
Good. That's awesome.
That is, it's fun until, you probably won't have an issue with it, but it's fun until you can't help them anymore. And I ran into that pretty quick with Aspen, so that gets tough.
Dallas, do you have any more questions from our friend or our followers, listeners?
I got a few more, but if you got anything, you can go, Matt.
Well, one that's kind of popped up. How do you think this win's going to affect recruiting, or will it?
I think if we recruit beyond our borders, if we go to, Chris Oladokin's a great example of that. When we called him up, he'd watched us in the spring and he said, sure, I'm interested. And so I think if we go to an area that we haven't been to, I think probably our brand has been out there and it opens that door. Other than that, I think people know we're a great program, we're a good program, and that it should be an option for a student athlete.
Mm-hmm. Then I have one that got submitted. Tanner Castora, you know him.
I do.
So Tanner wrote, "I'm very much looking forward to this. I'd love to hear a story about his childhood involving his father and where his pops had to give him some tough love," is what he said. So it feels like he must know something.
Tanner is a media guy that goes well beyond the scores and the stories and the rosters and so on. I would say this, and I remember going out. There were three boys in our family: my brother Jim, myself, and my brother Jerry, and my dad. And we'd go out and do chores on the farm on Sunday morning, and then we'd come in and we'd shovel the snow for the church. Shovel the snow on the steps and the sidewalk and stuff. And that was just what we did. And my mom one day said to my dad, she said, they should get recognition. They should get paid for doing this. And my dad said, no, that's what they need to do. And I'll never forget that.
I think that, there's so much with just your mentality towards life that I think has permeated the program, and you've done this over time. And I guess when I speak about the program and about you, it's always in how impressed I am with you doing things your way. And there's so many people that try for shortcuts and try to speed things up. And, I think just the entire where the program is right now, where South Dakota State football is right now, is a testament to what you have done and doing it your way this whole time. And I guess, one, I just want to pay that compliment, but two, I'm curious, how can you speak just a little bit to kind of how your mentality or how your approach to coaching has evolved since I was there, since the transition?
Yeah, I'd love to. Great question. I became a head coach. First of all, I studied coaches my whole time. So when I went to it for a visit professionally, I wanted to sit down with a head coach and pick his brain, if you will, ask him the top three things about success as a head coach, all those things. And then you take all those ideas and say, do they align with who I am? And I really settled in on, you need to be who God made you. You need to be who, I'm not a name drop here, but I'm not Nick Saban, right? I'm not Dabo Sweeney. I'm not, name a head coach. I'm John Stiegelmeier. And to be a head coach and to be able to mentor young men, you need to be who God made you to be. And so I took all that stuff, all those ideas, all those hints, if you will, and it became who I am. And there was a point where early in my career where I wasn't who I was. I thought I should be this, and it wasn't natural, and the players weren't comfortable, and so there's a point where I just said, just be who you are, and they'll respect that, and they have. I think they have.
Speaking of being who you are, Coach, I just want to comment on this because it's been on my mind since I read it. I believe it was Isaac Struck saw you in the hotel lobby after the national championship. And instead of talking about the game and the championship, you wanted to talk about how he was doing. And I just, you've always blown me away in that and where he's at in life. Where does that come from with you? Because you're right. There's not too many head football coaches in America that would know that about someone else, or take the time to do that.
Matt, you're acting like that's something special. I think it's how you're supposed to be. My wife says stuff like, my wife says stuff like she says something that exalts me, or it says I'm special about something. I said, that's what we're supposed to be. That's who we are. And I coached Isaac's dad, and it was so cool. It was so cool to see him there. I thought, what the heck are you doing? And so why would I talk about the game? Why wouldn't I talk about his life? And just like if I met you guys, ideally I wouldn't talk about this is what I've done. I want to know what you've done. And
No, I can second that.
And Coach, I've told this story on here before, but we had met and interacted when I was at SDSU. I tried to walk on for a semester. I'll never forget after I was voted SA president and you came into the office and you said, "Hey, Matt, good job. Like football didn't work out, but this is, so good job. Keep making a difference." And that's something that stuck with me. And then when I was in St. Peter at Gustavus, I was interning there, and I got a LinkedIn message from you. It said, "Hey, St. Peter, Gustavus, that's cool. Good job." So, I mean, those things are incredible. And I just think I try to think about some of those little moments like that too, to thank people and let people know that they're seen. So thanks for doing that for me, I guess. So.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Coach, we got a writing question. Jordan Fink asks, when SDSU went D1, many had said that no South Dakota or upper Midwest kids would be able to play due to the level of competition. And we now know that was completely wrong. But at the time, did you think or know so many would play such a huge role in winning a championship?
No one knew. The people that are not real would say, "Yeah, I knew that was going to happen." Nobody knew what was going to happen. All right. I sat in meetings and we talked about stuff and nobody knew what the future of South Dakota State was. And we put it in the hands of our student athletes, in this case, football student athletes, and they had a dream, they had a vision, and they took it to a level that it's national championship now. And so I did know this. We were going to recruit anybody to South Dakota State, starting in South Dakota, the state of South Dakota, that could compete at this level. And I think we've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to pull that one up there too.
Go ahead. Just read it off, Dallas.
All right. So Matt Frazee, the unbiased NDSU Bison admin for FCS Fans Nation. So we got a Fargo guy here. He says every FCS fan is curious how SDSU goes virtually unaffected by the portal. Must be credit even to coaching staff and culture, but how have you navigated that differently than others? I don't question that. Like, that to me just feels right, and I've never questioned it. But can you speak to how you've navigated that?
I can. A year ago, we had a Zoom of the AFCA, American Football Coaches Association, FCS coaches, head coaches. And this was a year ago, over a year ago. And one of the leaders of AFCA said, "You're going to have to start recruiting your players." And it just marked me. You know how things, you know this, each one of you know this. You've experienced things that will stick with you forever because of the power, and other things just come and go. That marked me. Recruit my players. And I thought, "What do you mean?" And he said, because we're going to become the junior college of FBS. And I thought, I need to change. And we haven't changed. We haven't recruited our players. We've loved our players. We've invested in our players. Our players are more than student athletes. We talk about more than height, weight, and 40 time. And so whether that's impacted the portal or not, I think if you're on the program the way you're supposed to, the portal is right. The portal is good for the guy that needs it, but the portal is not for somebody that's unhappy, because they shouldn't be unhappy in your program.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And speaking to the types of players that you've got, something I've actually kind of wrestled with this all day of how to ask it. And I'm curious what the change in mentality of the players has been over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Because if you ask any football player, are you going to win on Saturday, they're going to tell you yes. So I don't know if it's just a matter of confidence. Clearly you've got, the level, the athletes have gotten better, or you've got a higher concentration of higher level players as time has gone on. But how is the mentality and how has the culture of the players themselves evolved since I've been there?
one of the things I worry about, Dallas, one of the things I am concerned about is they don't know where we came from. And so I would say the mentality is lacking some things. I don't think they think I need more. I don't think they know any different. I don't think they know about the trailers. I don't think they know about the old locker room. I don't think they know about at some point they had to buy their own shoes. I don't think they know about this T-shirt is a big deal because we don't get a T-shirt every year or 15 T-shirts every year. And so I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the system's fault. And I don't think they're lacking something. They're just not they don't know the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's history. That's time. That's the way it works. And so I love student athletes. I love our players. I loved our players when you were here. But I people talk about I get that question all the time that how have kids changed? The world has changed. The kids haven't changed. The world has changed. And so I just think so many times we knock kids because of the world they're in, but it's the world they're in, not the kids that are in the world.
Oh, for sure. And I wasn't necessarily going that way with it. I'm just curious about, I mean, does their across the board, does their approach change going into Saturdays? Is there, just call it general buy-in or whatever, like if you can clearly see how that has evolved?
I don't know that. The thing that comes to mind, you're going to laugh about this, but the number of kids that roll up their pants when I tell them not to roll up their pants is, I watched that in the national championship game, and I thought, Stig, should you really say something on the biggest stage we've ever been on? And I just kept my mouth shut. And to that point, then I walked up to the locker room with our 4 grandkids, and I saw smoke coming out of our locker room, and I thought, wow, this is this is different than I expected. So, man, my phone is dying. I got to go find a charger. So let's keep talking. I love this.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Right. Coach, one specific player that I want to talk about, and I know you are big in, you spend a lot of time with specialists, Hunter Dustman's growth over the season, and maybe even having that little rough patch towards the beginning, and for him to just be outstanding towards the end, and really his punting in the national championship completely eliminated Jaden Price, who's a dangerous punt returner. What can you say about Hunter at this point?
This is intimate, man, because I get to meet with specialists every Sunday night for a non-football meeting. I shouldn't say Sunday, a Monday night for a non-football meeting. And so I know Hunter and the other specialists a lot deeper and better than any of our other players. And Hunter's the guy that very talented and accepted honestly our weaknesses as a team and put it on himself. I mean, he struggled, but we didn't block the guys, and so they blocked the field goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say anything. He never said one time, Coach Stig, that's not my fault. He took it. So I've got so much respect for Hunter Dustman, and I told him Saturday night, my dream is, I hope it doesn't happen, my dream is you win the game with a last-second field goal. And he looked at me and smiled and said, let's see how it plays out, Coach. Let's see.
Just the way he punted, though, my goodness, that was good.
That was Matt. Good. I tell you what, that actually, what I wanted to call out today, if we had a chance just to kind of recap the game, those 2 punts gave me, I don't know if they're good flashbacks or bad, of the Iowa punter who I still think should have won the Heisman based on that game. Just the ball control and where he put it, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
His his placing the punts were unbelievable, and I'm struggling with trying to find a charger here.
Charger, that's okay.
My wife handed me the block, but no cord. So
I like this. This is a challenge in the
It's
Stiegelmeier
Blair Witch
house.
Project with Coach Stig.
That's how-
true team. I go up to the deal, and she sticks it through the door and says, "Here it is." So
Awesome.
Team effort. I love it. We can ram.
You bring up a good point. How big was that in that game?
Yep.
How big was it for Hunter to do his job 1 or 2 or 3 times? Huge. And they talk about Amar getting these yards and Mark Gronowski getting these yards, but every one of those plays is impactful. And in Hunter's case, huge impact in the game.
Coach, we're having a lot of comments rolling in, and here's one I'd like to highlight. Preston McGoy says, just want to thank you, Coach Stig, for being much more than a coach to these young men through the years. You win both on and off the field, and I think that's evident.
Yep.
Well, again, my wife would say, that's cool, that's neat, that's special, and I would say that's what my dad taught me on the farm. That's what I'm supposed to do and what I need to do, and I'm just blessed to be in a visible role. You guys do the same in your roles. Maybe it's not quite as visible. Sometimes it is as visible. But that's what we're called to do, and shame on us if we don't do that.
Definitely not as visible, although I would be amiss if I didn't bring up how cool it was to be recognized, guys. Right? Like, I mean, I'm not joking. I probably got stopped 30 times in the 36 hours I was there by someone I had no idea who it was, talking about either, and it wasn't just like, hey, you're the guy from the podcast. It was genuine thanks. And I want to, because a lot of people are going to listen to this, so I want to say thank you to anyone that stopped to say that, how impactful, how meaningful that was, because it was absolutely constant. I had people I sat 2 different spots in the game, excuse me. When I was sitting, I had people in front of me quoting us, and I was up kind of on the balcony standing in line, and I heard people quoting Chad behind me. It was very humbling and very cool.
That's a dangerous thing to be quoting me, unless they say they want to be Mason McCormick when they grow up. They can do that. One thing I would like to ask you about, Coach, is can you touch on the difference that you've seen in the team and the individual players in dealing with Chris Crockton, having him come on board? Because it seems obvious in my eyes, perhaps, and others, and maybe you can shed some light on your perspective of that.
I apologize. I can't find a cord, so I'll probably die here in a little while. But and I sincerely apologize for that.
Well, that's fine.
My wife just threw me a cord, so.
Hey, thanks,
Lori
Lori.
saves the day. That's probably not the first
I
time.
love
either,
it. We
huh?
got team efforts all around. I was going to be super late because I broke a glass trying to clean up after making dinner. I broke some stuff in the kitchen, and my wife jumped in to help clean it up, which I didn't expect. So
Thanks, Nikki.
yep. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah.
Family efforts
And
all around.
I gotta. Let's go back. I'm going to talk to you guys for hours now because I got a cord. So
Sweet.
Yay. I mean, we've done 1.5 hour long shows before. We won't expect
We're good
that
as long
much
as
of
you
your
are, Coach.
time,
Yep.
But
well, first of all, you said you're the guy from the podcast. How honoring is that, right?
It actually was. It's amazing.
Chris Crock. I can't. I don't know how to measure, how to quantify his impact. He meets with, let's take one guy. He meets with Gus Miller 2 to 3 times a week. He has a cut up. He has a film cut up that shows him having success to make sure he visualizes what he can do. He meets with the whole team and goes over a plethora of information. In fact, the last time he met, the week before the championship, I said, Chris, you got to put that on paper. That's too much to even digest, and he did that. So is it his ability to have Jaden Yankee play in the present after fumbling a punt and make a touchdown catch the next play? Who impacts that? Chris Crock. Is it his ability to get our guys to embrace the monotonous of practice because it matters? That's Chris Crock. So I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I hope we're able to hang on to him, but he's a rock star, and who knows what his future holds.
I think the one play that I saw that it flew off the page, so to speak, to me, is one of the other players. I think it was the Illinois State guys, where the player got up and did the dance in Jaden's face or Jackson's face. Sorry, they're twins.
No, it was Delaware, wasn't it?
Delaware. Okay.
Yep.
And Coach had just been talking about win the response, right? And he won that response. And that is one of those things that is, like you were talking about, that is sticking with me right now. It's been stuck in the back of my head since that incident. And yeah, he's having an impact, I think, outside the program, much like you have. We have people chiming in saying, thanks for inspiring me, for make a difference in my community. And I know you say that that's just what you're supposed to do, and I agree, but I wouldn't undersell how much you can, in your position, inspire others to do good and be better people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Want to mention, Coach, the good side of the transfer portal, and you brought in 3 guys this year: John O'Brien, Jason Freeman, Brian Williams, that had big impact on the team. Isaiah Stalbert in the past. Blake Peterson's now here this semester. Talk about just the good side of the portal and bringing in these guys that are having an impact.
I think one of the coolest stories I've ever been part of. I've been the head coach 26, been at South Dakota State 35, Chris Oladokin, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm not trying to trump you. I'm just saying, what is the transfer portal for? It's for a young man that wants to pursue his dream, and it's not working at his school, right? And he's given it time. I mean, Chris Oladokin, John O'Brien, they were told by their football staffs, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You don't belong. And Chris Oladokin's an NFL player with the Kansas City Chiefs, and John O'Brien's going to start for us 2 years and is a national champion. And so, but for the young man that for whatever reason he's lacking something, and he goes to a school and he's not willing to fight the fight, to push through disappointment, which is what we've all done. And he transfers. That's not what it's for. And so I talk about it this way, that the transfer portal is good, and it's for insurance, right? We all buy insurance, and insurance companies are making millions of dollars, and we're losing money, right? And it's for insurance, but you have to have it. You have to have it. In the case that we're talking about, it's been really, really good. Did I think Jason Freeman was going to be a rock star for us? I didn't. I thought
he's awesome.
I didn't think he'd play until next year. And credit to him, credit to his background, credit to Jimmy Rogers. What an impactful year he had.
Yeah, I hope I get to meet Jason Freeman someday. I sent him a message and just thanked him because I think he was. No, I take that back. Reese Winkleman's my favorite player. I can't ever go back on that. But after Reese, Coach, I joke every week that I'm pretty sure Reese was a freshman when I was a senior. I'm not sure, but he might have been.
Well, we do know he's the best athlete out of.
He's also the best athlete ever out of Marshall, Minnesota. But
his hairline represents your statement there. So.
Yeah, Jason Freeman. What a blessing to have him on the squad, and that depth at linebacker in the secondary. I mean, that was the most pleasant surprise. I mean, to me, right? I'm sure anybody on the team wouldn't say anything's a surprise, but that was amazing to watch that. Those guys just step up.
You know what he did in a short amount of time, I think is it's like the normal curve, right? And there's 68% of us are one standard deviation away from the mean, and those are those of us that bump into each other and we're all average. What he did was way it's in that 1% of people, and just so proud of him and so amazed by what he did. And can I pause for a second here, man? Can I?
Sure.
I'm not a social media guy, so I don't. I'm honored I'm on this podcast. I'm probably going to search it out if I can, if my wife can help me in future times. But what you guys are doing for the Jackrabbits, telling stories for the Jackrabbits, again is way above being average. And I know every Jackrabbit football fan would say, thank you for doing this. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, thanks.
Thank you,
thanks.
Coach.
And that was one of the things that I heard over and over when I was getting stopped, Dallas, is it was someone stopped me from Florida and says, hey, man, this is one of the ways that I can stay connected with our team and that I can feel plugged in to the family. And so that statement, very humbling.
No, same. And Coach, I got to stop myself from getting emotional here because to me, as a former player that felt like I had something, not left to prove, but left some things behind or unfinished for myself. This is absolutely a way to give back, and it feels very good to do that for you and for the program. Chad, though, back to what you said, I made a note here. Got to look it up. Grandpa Bruce from Virginia. I was in line by him waiting to get in. He said the exact same thing. He just said thank you for giving him. He's very much removed being in Virginia, but it gives him a way to be involved. He had a giant crew that he brought in. Told me a story about a gentleman, a quarterback in the 40s named Forrest that lost a finger in the Battle of the Bulge and then came back to Hobo Days and threw touchdowns. My weekend was just stories about players and people just being grateful and learning about the Jacks, and it was so cool.
That's awesome.
I've got a picture of Forrest in my office. I assume that's not a common name.
No way.
I got a picture of him running for, in the old gear. It's really cool. Running for a positive yardage in my office. So, again, that touches my heart. It deep down my heart.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I tell you what, I will stop in and see that. If you're around February, I think it's 11th and 12th. Actually, my daughter runs at an indoor track meet at SDSU. So I will be there, and I'm going to go to your office and look at that if you're around.
Dallas, let's go on record here. You keep talking about your son, right? He's a hockey player.
Yeah, well, he's a football player first, but he's a hockey player.
Yeah, and your daughter's a runner.
Yep.
Where did they get this athletic ability?
From Grandpa, I hear.
Oh, my wife.
That's
No,
from your
there's no
dad.
question about that. And I don't want to go too far because my wife, she actually ran track at USD for a bit, so we won't give that credit, but definitely came from there.
Okay, good.
Good.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, that's
Matt, what
good.
else you got?
Oh, man. Well, my other question was just on, what's the plan now? These guys have gotten so many extra reps now 2 years in a row with us going late into the season. What's the plan for spring ball? What's the plan now for some of these younger guys? Are we going to sit some of the veterans? What do we think here for spring?
We just met Friday briefly and talked about some of that stuff. I think we have up to 14 guys that need or potentially need surgeries because of just the nature of our sport. And so I am expecting spring ball to be not as physical as it's been. A lot of technique type stuff. Obviously we control what we do. And case in point, these extra practices going into the national championship, we had 6, 7, 8 weeks where we had extra practice where other teams didn't. So those young guys are way ahead, and we'll tailor it so it's all about getting better as a program. But Jason Freeman just had surgery a couple days ago on his bicep. Did you guys know that he played?
Yeah,
with
he
a
tweeted
tore
it.
biceps. Yeah, he said something about catching a INT with a tore biceps at some point after the game, I think. So
Yeah, what he did with a torn bicep, 80% torn off the bone, is
wow.
I mean that's a story in itself. I mean
Remarkable.
that's a book, and it represents all our players because that's how they are. So we've got a number of guys that need to get healed up. I should
You got a
And
tight end playing
Zach
with a broken
Hines-
foot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't we have?
Yeah.
I was going to
That
say,
was
didn't Zach?
So that story, Coach, was started going around tailgating before the game that Zach had broken his foot in walkthroughs, and everyone's just, oh no, and then get into the stadium and see 87 running around out there. That was incredible. And some of his blocks too. When you go back and watch the highlights, he's pancaking guys. So talk about Zach Hines a little bit.
Yeah, I know Matt Zimmer, the Argus guy. He tweeted out, looks like Zach Hines is not playing because he didn't warm up. Well, he got a shot, a painkiller shot, and he was told that it lasts this long. So he waited as long as he could to get the shot and then come out and warm up on his own so that he could play football for his brothers. So those stories go. Hunter Dustman, Zach Hines, Jason Freeman, Mark Gronowski, torn, all that stuff that happened to him in the spring. Those stories go on and on and on, and they're all brothers. They're all family members of the same your family, Jackrabbit football. So I talked to Zach. I said, how did it all go? What were your thoughts? And he said, there's no way I was going to miss that game. There's no way. Now I wish he'd have tweeted out something other than sitting in the locker room with a boot on and a cigar in his mouth. I wish he'd have tweeted some different.
Oh, come on. That was a great picture that will live on for so long, whether you wanted to or not.
Well, yeah. Well, I have to give in to the masses there. So,
Coach, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but Kyle Harris wrote in here. Appreciate you, Coach. Bawled my eyes out when the clock hit zeros. A memory I will never forget. Got to experience it with my dad at my side and my JFPA brothers. Amazing time last weekend. JI's tailgate was bonkers. Thank you guys for pulling it off, and let's do it again. So, Kyle.
Kyle is one of many that have kept in close contact with me and the program, and I love every one of those guys. And the number of stories, the number of emails, the number of texts that I got to answer of guys talking about crying when they came into the stadium, crying, tears in their eyes in the fourth quarter, tears in their eyes on the field at the end. These are football players. That's so, I don't know, rewarding is a weak term, but that's so rewarding to me to know that experience touched so many.
It did. And I mean, to expand on that, actually I get a question off of it too. So I can comfortably and confidently say that outside of, marrying Nikki, birth of my kids, that was the most significant experience of my life. It just was. And I'm not sorry for that. It was. Coming back to work on Tuesday after that and having you go from this tight knit, everybody cares passionately, whether you're wearing green or red, we're all care about the same thing. And I go back to work where nobody watches the sports ball. So it's, no, I don't know. It's just bizarre going from this intense emotional thing where I'm ready to cry at any moment still, and no one knows, right? So I'm curious, what's the work atmosphere like going back to the office? If things changed, is everybody still just riding high, walking around? What's that like?
I think I'll speak for myself. I went in early today and it was quiet and got some stuff done. And I Dallas, I've got I'm get emotional again, but I've got a card on my desk that I wrote on after we lost in the spring in the national championship. I wrote, "Would I feel any different had we won?" And I don't want to take anything away from this, but I don't want, for our players for sure, I don't want that to be their greatest accomplishment. I want them to be better dads. I want them to be better husbands. I want them to be, I said that in the press conference or the rally. I want them to be national champions as citizens. Then I feel good about what we did in Frisco.
No, I agree, and I'll echo that to anybody. I mean, the number of comments we had, but thanking you for being an impact. I will, and I've said this, Coach, over and over, and I've taken this away as a leader, as a manager, as everything else that I do. That anytime I've ever tried to talk to you, the number of times we've gotten together at camps or whatever, try to talk football, try to talk sports, you immediately change it to be a great dad. How are the kids? How's the family? And that means, no, I'm serious. And that I can, when you're clearly doing that on purpose, that changed how I approach different interactions and how I think about things. So you're right on there.
I got a lengthy email from Vince Benedetto, who, everybody's connected to the program in their own special way, and that's so cool for me. It's beyond cool for me. It's mind-boggling. But he wrote this lengthy email, and at the end he said, "P.S. I'm going to be a great dad." He didn't let me say it in the response. He said it in his deal. So that's cool. And I know you guys are. I know you are, and those are important jobs. So.
What matters?
Speaking of that, and I don't think that you probably ever have, but you've got quite the coaching tree that's started now. Have you ever stopped to kind of think about how much you're impacting the greater game than just the game that you're in?
Somebody wrote something about that a couple days ago, and from so-and-so to wherever. And I thought, just being blessed to be together for a while. I think we learn from each other. They would credit a head coach with somebody else's success. I don't think that's the case. I think it's the fact that I was blessed to be around the individual, whoever it is, and we grew together. And how cool is it? How cool is it to see somebody leave here? Brian Bergstrom goes to Winona, makes the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Eck goes to Idaho, huge turnaround, makes the playoffs. I just rejoice in their success and don't feel like, wow, they're part of whatever. And again, I appreciate the statement, and maybe I had a little contribution to that, but I know this, and I should. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I've had unbelievable mentors. Unbelievable. I wrote this the other day on a sheet of paper about when I needed something, somebody was there for me. It was Jim Kretschmann at Northern. It was Mike Daly at South Dakota State and Wisconsin. It was John Phelps at Eau Claire North High School, and a total unbelievable impact on my career that I realized, but I didn't realize until I look back. And so I appreciate your statement about a coaching tree.
Coach, I have two questions is all I have left. You always talk about with Tyler on the radio show, where the team graded out at and in championship effort. Where did we grade out championship effort last week?
We're national champions, Matt. We're national champs.
I love that answer.
We haven't graded that film. I think that film will be used for cut-ups, but I didn't ask the coaches to. In fact, I texted them. Probably 3 hours after the game and said, I need your grades by 6 o'clock. and no one responded. So
That's funny.
I will say this: Montana State, University of South Dakota and the national championship game, I think we played pretty close to perfect, really.
Yeah. All right. It's been a huge weekend for South Dakota State athletics, carrying on with the week before. Basketball teams both dominated. Wrestling went 4-0, right, Chad, out in Virginia?
Yes, sir. Yep.
They've run 6 in a row. Track and field's having awesome meet wherever they're at, breaking all sorts of records. Justin Sell, we've had him on the show before, and Justin Sell does not want to talk about Justin Sell. Can you talk about Justin Sell for us and tell us what makes him kind of a special AD in your mind?
Great question. Justin Sell is one of the most optimistic, positive guys I've ever been around. I can't tell you one time where I've asked him for an improvement in our program where he said no. He's always said, how can we do it? How can we get there? What do we need to do to get there? And so he oozes with his belief in you as a person and his belief in the program. And so, I don't know why we have a new stadium. I don't know why we have an indoor. I do know they came after Justin Sell got here. And he is a great, people call it fundraiser, friend raiser. He's a great person when it comes to connecting with people off the grid a little bit. I went with him and Keith Malum, one of the top guys in the foundation, to talk to a guy named Dale Larson. Dale Larson's the guy that's the head of Larson Manufacturing. And one of the highlights of my career, this happened this last Wednesday. One of the highlights of my career to sit down and listen to Dale Larson talk about his philosophy and what a win is for Dale Larson. And that all came because Justin Sell and Keith Malum have developed this relationship with this guy that is really, really special, that allows us to go into his dining room and sit down for coffee and have a pastry and talk. So he's very gifted. He knows our players. It goes on. And you know this. I mean, he's got 400 and some athletes. I think he knows all of them. And they would stop and talk to all of them. So he's special.
Awesome. Thank you, Stig. Again, we've had him on the show multiple times, and he'll never talk about himself. So appreciate you doing that for him there.
Our daughter just said, "Close out your other stuff."
Yep.
It's making my video glitch.
Oh,
so I don't know what she's talking about. So,
well, Chad, Dallas, do you guys have anything else for Coach tonight?
I don't think we have anything for here, do we, Dallas?
No, I don't think so. I guess the only other thing that we didn't touch on that maybe would be worth talking about in another episode or something, but the relationships that we've been able to create with, talk about other members of just the South Dakota State community and, guys that came 2-3 generations of players after me that I've been able to get to know through all this and to have the common bond and, and to meet obviously getting to know Kyle, Sheehan through this, but Stacker and Kyle Harris and just on and on and on. So many guys. It's been an amazing experience, and I can't wait to see what else comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're throwing names around, I don't think you should use Stacker as one of the amazing.
All right, fair.
Yeah, he's up there in enemy territory. Poor guy.
Oh, Stacker.
I don't know. Nobody knows this, but we do jacks before every practice, right? Remember that, Dallas? You do the jumping jacks. In Thomas's last year, Stack's last year, he stayed in the back and shook my hand every practice. Said last play, and we did jacks together, and it was like it was like a spiritual deal for me. That every day I got to stand beside that guy and see his smile, and that's one of the coolest things about being a head coach, the relationships you get to build in unique ways.
Well, thank you for what you've done and just what you've put in, the ability to impact all those lives. And I don't know, I mean, just remember everybody too. It just blows my mind. I think about the number of people that have come through here, but clearly makes a difference. I'm remembering as we've listened to you talk, Matt Zimmer's article about how he got so mad at you that no one could get you to take any credit in the post-game press conference for anything, which was quite funny. And I would expect nothing else, but Coach, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Again, I'm not worldly with social media and podcasts and all that stuff, but appreciate you telling the story. And this is a special university we're part of, and appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll definitely get a link out to you. And if you hold on after we're done here for just a few seconds.
Yep. And folks, again, please like, subscribe, share. Thank you, Coach, for your time. Thank you to all our sponsors. We will be back here end of January, early February with I hope Coach Bobbitt to talk about the recruiting special. Learn about all these guys that we're bringing in. So really excited for that. And Chad, you'll have some wrestling stuff coming up. Check out the Rabbit Rundown. They keep putting out great basketball content. And so thank you everyone again for being here with us. And with that, go big, go blue,
go Jacks. What a natty.
Go Jacks.